struggling nurse donates blood to an emergency patient only to the hospital corridors were dimly lit that night, their silence broken only by the occasional beeping of machines and the hurried footsteps of nurses on duty. Among them was I, a young nurse barely in her mid-20s, her white uniform slightly worn from overuse, her eyes heavy from endless shifts. She had chosen this profession out of passion, but lately, the weight of life outside the hospital was pressing harder on her than she could bear. Her father was bedridden after a stroke, her younger brother was still in school, and her mother stitched clothes late into the night to keep food on the table. The salary Aisha earned was never enough, yet she never let her patients feel the heaviness of her struggles. With a warm smile and gentle hands, she treated each patient as if they were her own family. That night, an emergency call pierced through the calm. A young man in his 30s was wheeled into the emergency ward, pale, unconscious, and barely breathing. He had been in a terrible accident, and the doctors immediately realized he had lost too much blood. The problem, his blood type was extremely rare B negative. The hospital's blood bank had none available. The senior doctor, frustrated, almost whispered, "We might lose him if we can't find a donor immediately." The words struck Aisha like lightning. Her own blood type was B negative. Without a second thought, she stepped forward. "Test me, I'll donate." Within minutes, she was lying on a bed beside the patient's room, her blood being transferred to save a life she didn't even know. Her body felt weak, but her heart carried a strange sense of peace. For once, she wasn't just helping with medicines and care, she was giving a part of herself. The surgery went on for hours. By dawn, the patient's condition had stabilized. He was alive because of her. Aisha didn't expect gratitude. She didn't even wait to meet the man whose life she had saved. For her, it was enough to know that someone's story hadn't ended that night. She simply went back to her duties, exhaustion hidden behind her gentle smile. Days passed. Life went back to its usual rhythm: long shifts, financial worries, and family responsibilities that seemed never-ending. One evening, while finishing her shift, Aisha was summoned to the hospital director's office. Fear instantly crept in. Had she made a mistake? Was she in trouble? But as she entered, she saw a man sitting across from the director. His face looked familiar, though pale scars still marked him. He stood up slowly, his eyes glistening with gratitude. "Miss, you're the one who donated blood to save me that night." Aisha felt her cheeks warm. She nodded quietly, unsure of what to say. The man continued, "I was unconscious, but when I woke up, the doctors told me, you didn't just save my life, you gave me a second chance. My name is Rehan, and I have no words big enough to thank you." She smiled softly. "It was my duty. Anyone in my place would have done the same." But Rehan shook his head. "No, not everyone would risk their own health after hours of work. Not everyone would give without expecting anything in return." What Aisha didn't know was that Rehan wasn't an ordinary patient. He was the CEO of a growing medical supply company. Despite his wealth, his accident had left him vulnerable, and for the first time, he saw the humanity of the people who often stood unseen: the nurses, the staff, the ones who gave everything yet remained in the shadows. Weeks later, a letter arrived at Isha's small home. It bore the official seal of a medical foundation. Inside was a scholarship grant for her younger brother's education, full financial support for her father's treatment, and an offer for her mother to join a training program that paid well. Attached was a note written in elegant handwriting. "Some debts can never be repaid, but let this be a start. You saved my life, and now I want to help ease yours." Tears blurred Aisha's vision as she read. For so long, she had carried the weight of her family alone, never asking for help, never expecting miracles. And here it was, an answer she hadn't prayed for but deeply needed. Months rolled by, with her brother excelling in school, her father receiving proper medical care, and her mother finding dignity in her work. Aisha felt a lightness she hadn't known in years. But the most unexpected turn was yet to come. Rehan began visiting the hospital frequently, not as a patient, but as someone determined to support healthcare workers. He launched initiatives to provide free medical equipment, better salaries, and training opportunities. He often said, "If not for a nurse's kindness, I wouldn't be here." Nurses are the unsung heroes of the world, and it's time they're honored. Through these visits, a quiet bond grew between him and Aisha. At first, it was built on gratitude, then respect, and slowly, something deeper began to bloom. something neither of them had been searching for, but both found healing. In one evening, standing at the hospital's rooftop, watching the sunset bathe the city in gold, Rihan turned to Aisha. "You once gave me life when I was slipping away, and now, you've given me reason to live it with purpose. Aisha, I don't just want to thank you anymore. I want to walk beside you. Will you let me?" Her heart pounded, and tears filled her eyes, not of sorrow, but of overwhelming grace. Life had tested her with pain, hardship, and sacrifice, but in giving selflessly, she had received something far greater: love, respect, and a future she never dared to imagine. The story of Aisha teaches us this: sometimes, when we give without expectation, life finds a way to return blessings tenfold. One act of kindness, no matter how small, can ripple through the lives of others and change destinies. So, the next time life feels heavy and you wonder if your sacrifices matter, remember Aisha, the struggling nurse whose single act of giving not only saved her life but transformed her own forever. Final message: the world changes when we give from the heart. Kindness never leaves us empty, it comes back in ways more beautiful than we can imagine.